like breaking, we are taking, this is our time. Just breathe, this will be a hard fight. The truth casts shadows in the night.
All right. Hey, how's it going, Johnny?
What's up? Welcome to Sasquatch Unredacted, everyone.
Man, I'm glad it's Friday, dude. What a week, I swear. Every time I turn around, I'm short-staffed again.
Yeah.
But I hired somebody right away, so I'm going to be good to go, and now it's just a matter of getting them trained and ready to go before next week, before I go out of town. So very excited about it.
Excellent. How'd the trip go with Marie and her group?
It was a blast. We had a lot of fun. Beautiful campground, really beautiful campground. I'd never been to Colt Creek before. It's a state park. They were way in the back. Literally, it's a mile and a half from the entrance. They said a mile and a half. It seems a whole lot longer to get to the campsite where they were at. And primitive campground, beautiful, nice, beautiful oak trees to camp under if you needed to. It was quite a few people, not so much as campers, but they had a lot of people coming in to just be guests and be a part of what Marie had put together with her team. So it was a lot of fun. Got to talk to some guys. Got to hear some great encounters. I've spoken to them, and we're going to try and hook them up and get them on the show later on. Probably I'm going to shoot for May because we are booked for April pretty much. But most of those people, you'll meet them, Johnny, because most of these guys will be at the Bigfoot conference. So
excellent.
Yeah, great guys. Everybody there was fun. I was lucky enough to be able to get rid of some of the the T-shirts I ordered for these guys instead of having to mail them out. So I'm down to 3 shirts, which is you, Lenny, and David Sidoti. So that's the last 3 I have to get out there. So
cool, man. Get to see everybody next week. Excited.
Oh yeah, the weather was fantastic. I mean, it was really weird because I pulled up the gate. I got there early. It was 39 degrees, but by 10, I was stripped down to a sleeveless T-shirt. You know what I mean? It was just beautiful. So fantastic.
Good to go, man. Well, let's bring Mike and Christina on because they have children, and we've got a limited amount of time, so let's give them as much as we can.
Hey, howdy. Mike and Christina, how you guys doing?
How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for having us on.
Hey, guys.
No.
Oh, yeah.
So those that don't know, Mike and Christina are members of the Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group. And I think, matter of fact, Mike, you were the very first one after Marie, right? When she started it, you were the very first, or one of the.
I was one of the first. One of the first with her. Yeah, we've been friends for quite a long time.
Good. Well, start with telling us what got you down this rabbit hole that we're all stuck in right now.
Well, it's been almost 9 years now. I was going fishing with one of my best friends, and we were heading down to Homosassa. And the area that I was going to put in at was if you take the main road that takes you back to where Homosassa Springs is, you go past that and keep heading back to where everybody puts in to go scalloping. The road right before that's Old Mason Creek Road. And I was on that road, and there's a private boat ramp back there. And about 2 miles or so down that road, there's a big S-curve. And as I came around one curve, you can see up ahead about 75 yards. And as I came around that curve, this guy was coming up out of the ditch. And he was like big. He was a really big guy. And as I came around the curve, he's walking up from the shadow. And the shadow, he kind of like went from shadow. And when he walked onto the pavement, as I'm coming around the curve, I see him walking up. And the sun was just over the top of the trees. So it was like halfway in the road. And it lit him up when he walked into it, like a little silhouette. And I saw him. He was reddish brown, cinnamon colored. And I could see the hairs, it lit him up. It was really cool. And I came around the curve and came back around the curve again, and he was gone. And I stopped the car, our truck, and got out. My friend's like, "What the heck's wrong with you, dude?" And I was like, "You didn't see that?" And I was like, he's like, "Oh, I was looking out the window." I'm like, "Dude, you didn't see that? The size of that thing that just crossed the road in front of us?" And he's like, "What thing?" I said, "It was up. It was big, man. It was big." And he was like, "What do you see?" I said, "It was walking." And back then, I didn't really believe it, man. Like I'm not gonna say I didn't. Well, I wouldn't disregard it, but I wasn't into it, and I just didn't. It was like just a thing, whatever. And then there it was. It just walked in front of me, and it changed my life forever.
What city was this in?
That was in Homosassa.
Oh, okay. And
Right.
now, before that, did you have
County.
Bigfoot on the brain?
What's that?
Before that encounter, did you have Bigfoot on the mind?
Never. I'd never even. I just watched a couple TV shows here and there that were on, but I never, other than Harry and the Hendersons as a kid.
Wow.
I didn't really ever think about it, and you don't until it's just there. It is, and then it did something to me. Like I had to prove I wasn't crazy to myself, and I started going out by myself all the time. And I started going to areas when I was a kid. I grew up in parts of real rural parts of Pasco County, back when Wesley Chapel was nothing. Wesley Chapel wasn't like a big city, like town like it is now. It was a small little town with a big protected land behind it, and that's called the well fields. And those well fields, I've been going back to since I was a kid. Well, it's almost 10,000 acres, and it's a drink link. It connects down into the Hillsborough River eventually, and then back around through Green Swamp and all that. It's one big circle. And going back there is where I had my second encounter. And it was probably 2 years later. I didn't even really go about a year. About a year, I was watching documentaries and everything before I started going out on my own.
Well, tell us about that one, the second encounter.
Well, I can do that. I didn't know. Christina doesn't.
Well, you can't sit there and say, "Hey, my second encounter," and just sit there. You got to tell them.
All right. So the second encounter happened. Technically, it was my first researching encounter. So I went out by myself after watching all these shows because now I was a pro and I knew what to do.
Yeah.
So the area that I grew up in back there, it's owned by Swiftmud. And there's one road that runs through it, and they use it as like a bike trail and different things. And I went back there, and I was way back there. It's almost 2 miles back on a bicycle. No motors, no hunting, no nothing. And it's about 2 miles back, right through the middle of the woods, and until you get to where the creek's at. And then I got off the bike, and I went another almost mile down trails back into the creek, and I came up to this little road. I found it on Google Earth, and I knew where I wanted to be. I said, if I was something, that's where I'd be. It's very secluded, deepest part of where all the cypress was. I said, if I'm something that wanted to hide, that's where I'd be. So I went back there, and I walked that, like I said, the last probably half a mile is through just small little trails that takes you down about the width of a four-wheeler. And I made a right into one, and when I did, I saw two little footprints, and I'm like, those almost look like people prints, but they're kind of fat. Didn't really pay no attention to it. I kept walking. I got a little farther up, and there was a tree broken across the trail this way, and another one going this way. And they were with about four feet apart from each other. And when I got to that tree, everything in my gut said, "Don't go no farther. Something's telling you to stay out of here. You should probably listen to your gut." But I'm stubborn, and I didn't. And I stepped over the tree. And I stepped over the other tree, and when I did, I saw big footprints there, and followed by another one, and it was a good-sized footprint. And I literally was like, leaned over to look at it. And if you've ever heard about a 4 or 5 inch around tree break, it makes a loud noise. But there was no wind blowing. This was the middle of the day. That was the other thing. I went out in the middle of the day thinking, if these things are nocturnal like people say they are, but during the day they'd be bedding up or laying up like some deer do, during the day, just chilling away from everybody. And I went, and I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's all right.
Sorry, I got
There's that time about them bedding down.
Yes.
The deer were bedding.
Sorry, yes. I thought that if deer do it and other animals do it that are usually out at night, why wouldn't they do the same if they think they're nocturnal? So I went during the middle of the day, and it was like 1 o'clock when I was out there. Well, so anyway, that at least a 5-inch around branch or tree sounded like it snapped. And if you've heard something fall into the palmettos, how loud it is, just that, like when like a tree limb or anything crashes into a palmetto, how loud it is. That's what happened. To me, it sounded like something used the tree to get up, and when it got up, it snapped and broke into the palmetto. Is what it sounded like, and I didn't even want to look. It was so loud. I was like, "Ooh!" It was to my right, about 40 yards away, and I kind of half looked a little, and then I got hit, and I was feeling the growl that was coming at me, and it was the lowest, deepest, low rumble growl you've ever heard. It was like this creepy, just rumbling, almost like a gator, like a big male gator when he's during mating season, that like gurgling rumble, but even lower.
The bellow.
It was lower, and I heard that noise, and I turned, and that was the first time in my life that I had ever figured out what primal fear was. I'd never been afraid of anything in the woods in Florida. You know, I've seen everything. I ain't seen what the hell that was. And that thing made a sound I'd never heard before, and it terrified me. I'm terrified. And I turned, I said, "I'm sorry, I'm leaving." I just started walking out. I didn't want to run because I didn't know what it was. So I walked out all puckered. I got out to the trail that I had to, and I had to go a half a mile back. I started walking down this trail, and this damn thing is beside me about 20 yards away, walking. Crunch, crunch. Every time I stepped, it was stepping. I stopped, it stopped. Like, oh my God. I started again, and then I started hearing things. It was whatever they were throwing sticks at me. And the sticks were coming over my head and landing in front of me, hitting the trees. You could hear them going through the trees. And so I think what happened was I walked right up on a pod, a group of them that were bedded down, resting in the middle of the day, and I caught them off guard. And they didn't like it. And they ran me out. I got back to my bike, and I got out of there. When I got back to my truck, about the time I got back to my truck finally, my ears were hurting so bad. And I got to the truck, and when I got my bike off my bike, I just threw up. And I threw up again. It was like I suffer with migraines real bad, and I instantly had a migraine out of nowhere. Well, that migraine lasted for 4 days. And then I started talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, you got zapped. You got hit with infrasound and blah, blah, blah." I didn't even know what it was at the time, you know? So that was pretty much probably the first time I got zapped also. And it wasn't fun. My ears for 4 days felt swollen. It was not a good feeling at all. It was real bad feeling.
Wow.
That was
probably Magolia Monster asks, so where in Florida did this one happen? Because we know the other one. What was this? Where was this one at?
Pasco County.
Pasco. Okay.
Yeah, it was in Pasco.
Now, do you spend a lot of time going back to that particular spot?
Not that one where the growl happened. I've only been back there a couple times. One was actually with David Sidoti and his whole team. That was when I first met them. They were like the first group of guys that came and met up with me and went back there with me. And this was quite a few years ago now, but 6 years ago, and probably about 6 years ago. And they went back there with me, maybe 7, but they went with me. His whole team. It was a good time. We all went back there and they did a bunch of filming in that area. And I've only been back a couple times because it's hard. It's a long bike ride. And I've been back with my kids, and honestly, I didn't want my kids to get scared back there. It's a long way back, and if something happens, I know a lot more now than I did back then. And I know whatever these are, they're not there to hurt me, and I know they're not going to. But it's still, when you're that far back into the off trail, you know, into a place, and I don't want the kids to freak out and be that far away. So that's why I haven't really been back.
Kids change everything.
Yeah, everything.
That's
for sure.
Completely different. I do stuff completely different when the kids are around and then when they're not around. So I completely understand that. Yeah, well, my son is he's been out with me on a lot of stuff. Richard knows that, and you've probably seen him before too. He's been out all kinds of cool things with me. Man, that kid goes everywhere with me. And then I got the pretty lady over here. And then I met her, and
I was like, you know what? I'll let you tell. I'm not going to tell you your story. You're going to tell it.
Well, we met one night through a mutual friend, and he was trying to get me his number and talk to me and whatever, and I was kind of blowing him off. So anyway, finally one night, we decided to hang out with him. After we hung out for a while, got to talking after a couple weeks, and he's like, there's this other part of my life I should probably tell you about. I'm like,
I've been down that road. It's a bumpy road.
In my mind, like, you have no idea. And then he says Bigfoot, and I was like, oh, I can handle that.
You were thinking like cartel, something crazy.
You think I was married, or
like, I had a wife, or
Just thinking something along those lines. But man, she has been my new right hand man. Like we do a lot of stuff. We've gone out a lot together. Had a lot of fun.
For sure.
Not that I'm replacing I'm not replacing Marie or nothing. We all get to do our group stuff. It's just a lot easier to take her and go and jump in the Jeep and go over somewhere real quick.
Oh yeah. Has Christina, have you had any sightings or interesting things happen while you were doing this?
I haven't had any sightings.
Something about Bear Island.
About Bear Island. All right. Well, when was that? Last year sometime? September? I don't know. Anywhere. Last summer? I don't know.
It was hot. It was most the Everglades. It's always hot in the Everglades.
Yeah. We were down in the Everglades, and
we were staying at David's place down there, David Shealy's place down in the Everglades.
Yeah, the Skunk Ape headquarters. And we decided to go out, just him and I. We took this long road, Turner Road?
Yeah.
Turner Road. So, I don't know, we drove like about almost an hour, 45 minutes down this road.
Yeah, it's about an hour, straight down, an hour down a dirt road into the middle of the Everglades.
Yes. So we take that out, and there's like a little campground back there, but...
Have y'all heard of Bear Island?
No.
No, I haven't.
Bear Island's pretty popular because it's had some stuff happen out there at it. It's literally in the middle of the freaking Everglades.
You just take this long road, and there's nothing out there. So then we go hiking into the woods for about, well, not even the woods, like swampy woods.
Yeah, it was knee deep.
It was incredible.
It was knee deep water. It was over the top of our boots. We were just, for 45 minutes, we were walking into this, just walking around out there. It was clear. You could see through it. So it wasn't like it was terrifying to walk through. I mean, you can see it's pretty clear water.
Yeah, so it wasn't too bad. But we started walking out there, and, so he always kind of leads the way, obviously. And so I kind of like trail behind, and I look around, and, just looking for stuff and checking things out. And every time he would start stepping, I would just kind of stay still, because every time he would start walking, I would start hearing like something like closing in on us. It was like, and I'd be like, hey, did you hear that? He'd be like, hear what? I'm like, oh, stop moving. Like, it just felt like they were just totally moving in on us. I just had that feeling like we were being watched. And then this hawk was going off.
Yes, the hawk that was telling them where we were.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. It was so weird.
And before we got into like the thick of it, where it was like a lot of water, it was probably a good 30-minute hike right out there. Then we saw that footprint.
Yeah. We found a really nice footprint. It wasn't huge. But it was really good. It was real deep. And I did a really nice 3D scan of it. I didn't have any casting material with me, but I did a real nice 3D scan of it. But we ended up following that trail back to what we were doing was trying to get to one of the hammocks back there. We were walking through the water trying to get to one of the hammocks where it gets to higher ground. And we walked into a really thick little cypress area, and the whole environment changed, like the whole feeling changed. It was so creepy back there. And she's like, you hear that? I'm like, I thought she was just hearing things. But it's the first time she'd ever had that feeling. She had never felt that feeling before. And she got to feel it. It was pretty cool. I'm glad she got to understand, because now she knows what it's like. When we go places, she's like, ooh, okay. That's a different type of feeling.
For sure.
Yeah, I think we've all felt that feeling at some point or another while we're in the woods. Like, okay, I'm supposed to leave right now.
But I kind of like it. Like, you don't want to leave.
Yeah. I'm with Christina on that one. I think that's half the reason why I do this, is that you get to tickle that lizard brain you have a little bit, that fear response, you know?
Yeah.
I can back that up because that one time when you came down, Johnny, and we had our whatever incident, I'm like, trying to film and trying to stay calm, and he's like, "Here, boy, come on now." I'm like, "What?"
Just trying to be nice.
He's trying to coax the thing out, and I'm like, "Stay right there, dude. Just let me get a photo."
Where are you guys usually out? What area, pretty much?
Well, at that time when Johnny came down to go out in the woods with us, it was Dupree.
Okay, we've been there.
Yeah, we went to the group campground, the one that's like 7 miles out there.
Yeah.
There's nothing there but 2 porta-johns and a well station that you have to pump water. Yeah, it was a great weekend. I would do it again. And I've gone up to Johnny's place. Johnny has a fantastic area up in Georgia called the Happy Place. Fantastic.
Were you out there the same time that we were that one time? Were you out there the same when we were going to do the before?
There was
before
a time. There was a
accident?
There was a time you guys were all going down there, and I was there the day before. And then I had to leave because I had to work, and then you guys continued on for the whole weekend because Marie was there, Dr. Hewitt was there, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
But I had left the day before,
Okay, so we just missed you that time because we were out there. We were out there with Bill Hewitt and all them.
Yeah, and Johnny met Bill. Bill came out with his truck that lights up the moon, and
that guy is Mr. MacGyver, man.
Yeah,
he's got some cool toys.
Yeah, well, he's an engineer by trade, so
yeah, he's amazing.
People just don't realize what that man has. It is unbelievable. Let me ask you something, though, because this was interesting, and you told me the story behind it. You're going to love this, Johnny. So they had a table set up with all these foot castings. So I'm over there, I'm looking at each casting, and there was one in particular that I thought somebody had flipped upside down. Okay, because it's you flip it over, you see the foot, you know what I mean, or a portion of the foot or a hand or something. And then tell them what happened, because you walked over and corrected me. Tell them about that particular one. So
I was with my son, and I thought we were out walking, and I found this weird. I thought it was maybe a gator print, maybe a decent sized gator foot or something. It was a funky looking print. Anyway, it was. I didn't know what kind of print it was, but it was weird, and I wanted to make a cast of it. So I went and grabbed some. I came back the next day, or the next morning, and it was still there. So I decided to cast it, and while I was casting it, man, I kept getting like creeped out, and I was in my most productive area, or one of the most productive areas, and I kept getting creeped out. I kept hearing, I heard like a couple times, like almost like something ran by behind me. Like I'm like, I'll just get that creepiness going. I knew they were there, and I made the cast, and I walked off, and I was gonna let it dry for a little while. And I'm out walking around, and I come back. When I come back, I go to take my knife out, and I was going to go check it. And I'm like, what the hell? It looked like somebody had taken and took their fat fingers and dragged it through it. Like there's like 2 big fat fingers that are like twice the size of my thumb and about 4 inches long, right, or 3 inches long or so, like the drag. It goes from one end to the other across the corner. Huh?
Want me to go get it?
Yeah, if you have it, show it, because it was get it. Because it was really interesting. Because like I said, I thought somebody had walked over to the table and just flipped it over, but then when I flipped it over, I saw those really large gouges. Like you said, like something had come behind you when you walked away and wanted to check it out, and they rubbed it. They put their fingers in it. And
there's a couple other looking. To me, it looks like there's a couple different sizes in it. I think, because I'm pretty sure there's 2 areas that I go into a lot, and I know there's family groups in there. I found different size footprints. We found 7 different size footprints in one area, and I know there's a family group back there. And in that one, I think it's a smaller family group, and I think they stick together. And I swear they must have ran by, and all of them touched it. And I'm just picturing like them running their fingers to it and then going,
Yeah.
That's what I picture. Because I leave treats out there all the time, and I leave all kind of weird stuff. Like I've interacted with this group out there.
Yeah, we'll bring up the wiener in a minute.
So that's the where is it at? There. That's the original print. It was kind of like there was nails on it. They broke off. There was nails on there, and that's what I was casting. You can almost see the triangle shape. It was a weird print, but I came back and that's what was there.
Oh wow! Are there any? Obviously, I'm not going to be able to see it on here, but are there any dermal ridges on there at all?
I looked.
No, I see. There is one. There's a little bit of one on the one. You can see it, and I've looked at it with a magnifying glass. You can see it a little bit on one, but not the others. But there was a hair, and our friend Tim took it and put it underneath the microscope and saw that it was like transparent hair. It was almost clear. But it fit all the standards for a Squatch hair. But isn't that freaking weird?
That's pretty awesome, man. Especially that fresh like that.
Yeah, just that one casting right now. Even if the other side is a gator, just the story with that something came behind you while it was fresh because it had not hardened. It's evident that it hadn't hardened. And rubbed their fingers through it.
I say it almost was like a snag nail was in there also on the one.
Right.
Like a little piece of a nail or a hair dragged across it. You see the line.
You see that one deep line, which is really funny because when I looked at that, the first thing that popped in my mind, I saw that line, and I had a cooler where it was picked up and was being carried away. And when I retrieved the cooler, it has the same thing. There's this snag, like a hangnail or the corner of the nail scratched really deep in the plastic of the cooler.
Yeah. That's what it looks like. That's weird. I've never seen that before, but that's what it looks like to me. Like something was just kind of caught when it dragged its finger across. I said there's different sizes, so I think there's multiple ones. Just walk by real quick because man, that group out there, I like, especially if my son's there. If he's there, they like him. That's why I think they've got a bunch of little ones out there.
Well. You bring that up because Christopher Noel has a great theory about that, and your son is autistic, and he brings that together where some of the traits of Sasquatch is autistic.
Yeah, there's something, man. I'm extremely ADHD. She's ADHD. It's funny, is a lot of people I know involved in this are ADHD. Or their brain it's like a different type of mentality, or the way you think and the way you act. But my son,
I'm telling you right now, I'm not normal. So that works out good.
Yes.
Your theory is correct.
Like my son had selective mutism, but it's part of that spectrum of the autism spectrum. And he's not autistic, but he's part of that thing. And he's outgrown his selective mutism, but he's still got just something special about him. Like the way he thinks, the way he acts. You've seen him, Richard. He's a special little guy. Not that I don't love my daughter and she's not, but there's just something, in case she ever hears this.
No, you got great kids. You got great kids.
He's just got a little something about him that everybody loves. And what's funny is Phyllis. Do you know Phyllis? I don't know if you guys know Phyllis or not. The psychic Phyllis?
No.
Well,
I don't.
She a good friend of ours, and she says my son is a star child. She's really into all that stuff, and I'm learning about it, but I didn't really believe any of it. But she's convinced me otherwise on some things because I don't have answers. Well, that's a whole other story. But my son, there's something special about him, and that's what they like about him too. I think it's energy. I think it's good energies. That's the one thing, if I had to figure out everybody that good positive energy is you get the best reaction from it, or completely in camo, not doing the right thing by yourself in the middle of nowhere can get you in to have a bad encounter.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was, and like I said, when I saw that casting, I mean, I was like, wow, once you told the story, when I flipped it over, because you were standing right there when I flipped it over, no, this is how it actually goes. And I was like, what? And then you explained the story, and it was really, really interesting. And then Then you said, "Hey, let me show you something." So this is all I videotaped that. Remember, I recorded what we were doing because you said that hey, I do these things before I go to bed at night. Blah 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 blah. So tell about the wiener.
So I'll usually take something like if I don't have I use Reese's a lot. I like the Reese's because of the orange wrappers and peanut butter, and it's always worked really well. Plus, if something takes it, you can see that orange wrapper really well. But if I don't, I happen to have some leftover smoked sausage that we'd made. So I took one of them and I just walked out back and I held it up in the air and I'm like, "Hey, this is for you," And I broke off a little stick and I stuck it on there about halfway through the wiener or the dog, and it was kind of sitting up in the tree, just like chilling, about 8 foot, about 7.5, 8 foot or so.
Yeah, I want to say at least it was 7 feet up.
Yeah, and so came back the next morning and just to go look at it, just to see if anything was there, and the wiener's still there. And I walk up, I'm like, but behind it, the branch was broken. This branch was about.
And you heard that in the middle of the night.
And I heard, in the middle of the night.
Like, you know?
In the middle of the night, I heard one pop, and it was from back in the woods, and I heard one, and I was like, sounded like something just stepped on a stick. Well, the next morning, that hot dog's still there, and right behind it, the branch that was right behind it, the stick was broken and it was hanging. It's like it walked up and leaned up against that branch or something to maybe try to reach out and grab the hot dog, and the stick broke and maybe made him go, and walked off. Is what I'm thinking. And Richard, were you there when we found the footprint?
I remember when because we had split up, and you guys went one direction and 4 of us went in another direction. I remember y'all saying that y'all found a print.
No, I'm talking about this is after you had left. That's what it is.
Right.
We went back to camp.
Yeah.
We went back to camp, and me and my son went out walking back behind the camp. He wanted to go out, just me and him, have some dad time. And we went way back in there, off trail, back behind we went to the end of the campground back there, past my tent, all the way to the end, and went back into the woods that way. There's some swampy area back there. It's pretty thick. And we were walking to that and found a really nice footprint, a 16-inch footprint. And we actually brought the team back over there, we got pictures, videos, and a casting of it now. We'll have it at the show.
Yeah, I saw y'all post that on the Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group Facebook page.
Yeah, it was a 16 by like 7.5 wide and 5.5 at the heel.
Wow,
it's a pretty good size. Yeah, I would definitely say a male. There was 3 of them. There was one really good one that was real deep, another one that was about a half print, and then another one that was just an impression up ahead of it. It had about a 56-inch stride on one of them, on one of the stretches. The other one was 45. It was weird. It was like it took a short step and then a long step.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Have you tried just doing the because if you haven't, I'm still in your idea here, or your little situation, but like trying to maybe just dig a hole and then fill it with the casting material and leave it and see what happens? See if you can get that to happen again?
No, I haven't. Maybe. I haven't, but I'm surprised it hasn't happened again, to be honest, because every time, especially the areas that I go to all the time, that I frequent, like the areas that I have one area that I was going back there for basically a year by myself before I brought the group in. And I was just back there all the time, just me, and interacting with what was going on back there. And I wish to God I would have got some of the footprints I found back then, but I still managed to get a few of the good ones. But some of my best ones have been, we made one, like me and Marie were out one night and I made a footprint casting of the one, I call him Big Toe, because it's like he has a almost 14-inch print. He's really wide though. And he always has like one toe. You only see his big toe. All the rest of them, it's like he lifts them up like this. And so he leaves like one big toe and then it's rounded off. Actually, when we're at the conference, you'll see the casting. You'll see what I'm talking about. You can see his big toe, and then it's like he lifts the other ones. Well, I found those prints all over out there before, and this day I made a casting of one, and then came back the next day to pick it up because it was too late at night, so I just let it dry overnight. Came back, and there was one next to it that was even better, and the toes were inside the print. He actually put all 4 toes, all 5. Well, there's 4, but I think there's 4 toes, but I think it's 5. But they picked up on 4. But whenever I pulled that one out, you can actually see the toes kind of like this in it. It's pretty cool. You've seen that one before, Richard.
Yeah.
That's the one with the little nubs on it for toes. Don't laugh at me.
Somebody have to.
She keeps me young.
No, that was like I said, that when I was looking at that one, there was a lot of good prints there. I mean, there was some very interesting, some are recognizable, and stuff like that, but the footprints and stuff like that, you guys have acquired quite a little collection going on there now. So
we've worked hard to get some of them prints, man. We've been in some crazy areas to find them,
Right.
And but what's cool is we've got almost matching sets for every one of them.
Oh,
it's never been just one, It's almost 2 every time, which has been pretty cool to me because it just shows. I don't know. I think it's cooler you have 2, not just one. Oh, one random print, but having 2 that are matching is a little harder. Even if somebody was going to try and do something stupid, or it was a footprint from a person walking through. You know what I mean? To find 2 identical, it's not as easy to play off.
Well, and I've found some trackways in the past, and really good. I mean, from a distance, you can see, and I'm showing it like with my finger in the camera, going, "There's one, there's one, there's one, there's one," but it's always in some kind of substrate that is uncastable.
Can't do nothing with it.
You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people don't realize.
Needles.
Yeah, pine needles. Yeah, it's impossible to do anything in there. And I spend a lot of time in the pine forest, more than I do anything else. And I get into the cypress swamps because this is our dry season, so you have a better opportunity of catching the prints. But once the rainy season starts, it gets really difficult because everything is wet. Everything is wet.
Yeah.
You can't, even if you find it, you can't cast it because the casting material just won't dry because it's constantly absorbing the water from the ground. So, but yeah, the substrate is what dictates a lot on what we can cast and not cast. So,
we got a bunch of areas that we've gone to. Most of the print and the castings that you've seen, other than the Jennings one, the from up there in Jennings where we found that big trackway, the other ones all pretty much came from Pasco County and from really 2 areas that I go into around Pasco. And they always, like, I took Christina in there, and Christina got to see footprints right there in front of her. She'd never seen one, other than she saw the Bear Island, but she wasn't positive, and then you go back here, right where I told her all this stuff had happened, and boom, there's footprint right where the new gifting spot was that I was making a new gifting area. And I have to get back there, man. I haven't done a whole lot since the hurricanes. I've only been back. Me and her went 1 time or 2 times since the hurricane. There's so much damage was done back there that it was just tore up. It wiped out everything back there. It was just, I think whatever lived back there hauled ass for a while, And I think they're coming back. And from what Ruby and Marie were saying, they were in one of the areas the other day, and it's starting to look like maybe that family group's coming back now.
Right. Well, and that's what I explained to a lot of people is right now, because we're still fresh as far as the hurricanes go, even though we're now getting into another hurricane season, the damage is just so immense down here that you have to discard so much because you're like, hurricane came through. We had tornadoes. We had a lot of tornadoes. My house got hit by a tornado. So you have to disregard so much right now as far as breaks and weird things in it, branches and stuff. It gets really difficult right now.
Yeah.
So
sure.
My blog Sunny11 says, has any of you ever gotten juvenile footprints?
Yes. And I don't have any castings of juvenile footprints, but I do have a casting that has a juvenile footprint in it. And I'll have to show you the pictures on it. It's so weird. Like I have it where there's actually a small footprint in it. And I've seen that before. I think they walk right through their parents' footprints, right with them, you know? And I think they step right in them. But I've been out there in the one area and I found 7 different sizes all the way down to like 6 inches, like 6 by 3. So, you know, this little thing is this wide, little fat foot, you know?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I took a picture. Cool. I took a picture of one. I was in a scrub forest. You know, the scrubs, and it's white sand in the scrubs. They grow in real dry terrain, and I found the most perfect child footprint. I mean, it was perfect, but if it wasn't on white sand, because it's next to impossible to cast on white sand, and because it just collapses so easy, but it was the most perfect foot, and I've got it on one of my past videos. I mean, I zoom in on it and say, "Wow, look at this!" But it was only probably 4-5 inches long, and it was perfect. But I'm out in the middle of nowhere. There's no other footprints, no adult footprints, no nothing. It's just this child footprint. So I mean, I don't know what it was. I can't sit there and say it was Bigfoot. It could be some other cryptid. I don't know, you know. But it was a very small footprint. Back there
in the main area that we do a lot of our stuff at, with the gifting area and stuff. That area back there, we've come back there, and the ground is never. The only place you can get footprints back there are on the main trails, and they're the trails that they've worn down back there. And when it's not leafy out, and all the leaves aren't falling everywhere, that's the only time you can get the prints back there. And it's not many times of the year that happens. But sometimes after the rains and everything, I'll get lucky, and that's where I've gotten a lot of them. But I see impressions everywhere, tons and tons of impressions, and you go into one area, and I call it the living room, and it looks like little kids have been back there playing. There's just little foot impressions all over the place, and broken tree limbs, and little weird stick things everywhere. It looks like they're mimicking their parents and doing. It's just really neat, the things that you find. But looking at all these it looks like that's what I say. It looks like a playground or something. Like all the ground is just stomped on all over the place, to where you couldn't make one footprint out of it if you wanted to, you know. It's like if you put 10 kids out on a playground full of like, say, that dark, rich soil, and just let them go out there and run around. See how many you can actually get off of it. It's going to be all stampeded to death, you know?
Right. But not like a hog.
Yeah, but not like a hog.
Right.
Have you, with any of these gifting areas, have they left you guys anything?
Well, we've actually had some really cool things happen at the main one. And so the property that you come in, there's up toward, it's like it's hard to explain, but it's like a fenced in area before you get back to the preserve where I go in. And on each side of it, you can go in. There's a trail to get back there. And up at the corner of the fence, it's probably 150 yards away from where our gifting spot is, or more, maybe 200 yards. And there's a chicken coop up there. And we always been gifting in the same spot. We're going to have to figure something out now because the tree rotted away that's been there. But there's this chicken coop up there. One day I came around the corner, and there was like 20-something eggs, are all just broken open. They look like they had been bitten into and just drank and dropped, like, or broken and drank. But the weird part is there's a gate or a fence that's, you know, it's a pretty big, tall chain link fence with barbed wire and all the barbed wire around the entire perimeter has been ripped down, bent down where nothing can get hurt on it. But in this one spot, it looked like one was on the other side and standing and handing it to the other one. And they were just sitting there taking eggs, and there was just a pile of egg shells. Well, that one day we come walking up around the corner, and there's an eggshell, just a perfect egg, and the bottom of it was open, and it was sitting right on top of a cypress knee. The cypress knee had a point to it like this, and the egg was up on it like this. It was, the bottom had been like drinking out, and it was just balanced on top of it, and it was only like 3 feet away from our gifting spot.
What about the mushroom? Didn't they?
Oh, yes.
Leave a mushroom?
Well, that was actually in Dupuis. Dupuy. You know the one campground back there? Yeah, the one you're talking about, I think. The one
that's there. Yeah, there's one that's way back there. It's the one with the circular fire pit with all the seats around
that one. Yeah, that's the one. The first night we were there, I went out and I took 5. You know where the picnic benches are by the fire pit? At the back of one of them old benches, I took 5 little small Reese's and I did them like 1, 2, 3, 4, and one in the middle. 5 right on the corner. You know, there's no one else out there. Then there was nobody there, and so we were out there with Bill and all them for a while at night. We left, came back the next morning, and they're gone. The Reese's are gone, and there's a freaking mushroom there.
Oh wow!
In place of it, a mushroom, and it was like a good sized mushroom.
That's not a fair trade.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. I'm like, are you serious? And that night, the night before, the night that I left the little Reese's out there, me and Marie were walking back from around way out there, and I'm like, who's that over there? And she's like, look, it's an orb. And I'm like, that's a person with a cell phone. It looked like somebody with a cell phone walking and moving it. And I'm like, she had her thermal. She's like, Mike, look, there was no person there. But this light was just moving around out in the middle of that field. I'm like, what the hell? Weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it happened right there where, like maybe 10 yards, 20 yards from where I put those Reese's. Freaking weird. It was really weird.
Well, I've heard a lot of accounts at the group campground out there where, you know, we were out there. We didn't see any, but I've had other researchers go out there and say they've seen orbs because it's a huge open area.
Yeah, it's
and
really big.
And they you know, there's other researchers that said they have caught some orbs out there. I haven't seen them yet, and I've been out there quite a few times, but I haven't seen any yet.
This was like the whitest. It looked like a cell phone light. If you turned around, just a white screen on your cell phone, and it looked like somebody was holding it, moving with it, walking up high. I'm like, that's a person holding a cell phone, and there was nobody there. And then it was just gone. I'm like, what the hell? That was the weirdest thing ever.
Sasquatch with AT&T.
Yeah.
AT&T Squatch. You heard about Bill's encounter out there, right?
Yeah. I've sat down a few times and got the chance to sit down with Bill and talk to him about his encounters out there. He likes it out there. He goes out there quite a bit. I think every time I've gone out there, probably within an hour or two, we come across him every time we go out there. You know,
I've been twice. I've been twice, and we went out there to meet him twice. We went camping with him and Bettina every time we've gone out. But that's a weird place. It's a big area.
I think the total amount of acreage, because Dupree and J.W. Corbett is really one place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's nothing that really separates the two. And I think it's somewhere around 90,000 acres. So
it's big.
Yeah. And that's where I had my very, very first encounter in 2005 was out there at J.W. Corbett. So
really? What was that one?
Yeah, we're buffering again. But you know, I told Johnny when Johnny came too, I was like, it's just a place I won't go camping by myself. And I camp by myself, just not there. Nope, not gonna happen.
That's how I am back there in those well fields, man. There's one back there that no matter, I can go just about anywhere, and I know now I'll make certain little sounds and I'll do certain little things that I was telling you about that I do, and it makes me feel comfortable. I feel like it makes them feel comfortable, and they know, okay, he's a good one, you know, or the energy, however they pick up on it. But whatever's back there in that one spot, I think it's a big old alpha.
What is it, a rogue?
Yeah, or a rogue or something. He lets you know, like he makes you feel bad.
Let me backtrack real quick. When your earlier story, when you're talking about you heard that deep guttural growl, what time of year was that?
That was probably spring. It was probably around springtime.
So about what?
April.
April.
May. April, May.
Yeah, because Johnny and us were out there at Dupree, and we had something happen, and we had deep guttural growls, a lot of them, a lot.
Yeah.
And it was in October. So.
Yeah, I can't tell you 100%. I have to look at the picture. Have you ever seen that picture I have of the inverted tree with the root ball, the cypress tree with the root ball up in the air?
Mm-mm.
I have to show you. I have to show you all my cool stuff, man. The heck.
Other than his wiener behind his tent.
Other than my.
Well, and anybody want to see the whole wiener incident? I did record that, and I did post it and everything. So if they go to my research channel, they can see that video. It was just last week. So, during that, it's a 20-minute video, but there's a portion in it where me and you go back there and we film the broken branch and everything, and you discuss what happened and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, well, you got to remind me this when we're at the conference. I got to show you some of these. I actually have some in my photo album. I have some pictures, and I from what I know, I'm one of the first people to find an inverted tree in Florida, like completely up in the air, 40, 50 foot long tree with the root ball stuck up in the air. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. And it's in that area where that big male, I think, is that makes me feel uncomfortable. It's the same area that I got growled at. And I think that's how he's big, and I think he marks his territory. So David Sidoti thought the first time he went there, we found some impressions that were big impressions in the fine straw. And he's like, dude, it's a big one.
Here's a picture. I'm good like that.
What? Oh, yeah, you are.
Can you see that?
No.
No.
But a good try. Well, I'm going to try now.
It's right there.
Okay, now you can see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's that little tree over there. So the rest of it, I kind of shortened it up. There you go. I'll get a little closer now.
Wow.
That's only about 20 feet from the trail, from the main trail. It's like he is marking his territory. And dude, that thing is the picture doesn't even do it justice, but there's no other cypress trees there. It's just all pine.
It timed out.
Sounds like we need to take a trip out there, fellas.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to go by yourself.
Yeah.
Hey, anytime you guys want to come, let's do it. We just got to bring bicycles.
Ooh. We can do that.
We got to get bikes. We got to have some bikes, and we got to have to earn that one because it's back there. It's one of the few places in Florida that you can be right in the middle of a lot of stuff and be completely in the middle of nowhere.
How far is it to get back there?
It's about 1.5 miles on a bike, and then a half a mile walk.
Oh, okay.
So it's about 2 miles total. But like I said, once you see like you go, it's going 2 miles directly into the middle of the cypress swamp, right where this creek runs through, and it's dense. It gets real dense back there. It's nice. It's got a cool feel to it. That one I haven't been a whole lot. Like I said, I haven't been nearly as much as I have the other places because for one, it's hard to get to. And I don't feel like riding a bike every single time. And I'm so far back there by myself. I'm just, after that happened, I've just never been quite comfortable by myself in that spot, I don't think he would hurt me. I don't think he'd hurt me, but I just got a weird vibe. When something hits you like that, it does something to you.
Yeah, best thing to do is trust your instincts with all of this stuff.
Especially after you didn't.
I learned my lesson that day, and then, that happened to me, and then I had another one happen in one of the main areas where I had a tree get shaken really bad. It shook this freaking tree like it was nothing. Me and my dog were back, and I had found 19-inch footprints I have pictures of, and there was one right in front of the other. And I was looking at those, and then my gut went off. And this is after the other thing had happened. So I said, you know what? I ain't going no farther this time. I'm not going nowhere. I stopped right there where the footprints were. I got that feeling again. But this time, I don't know if it was because the dog was with me or what, but I didn't go any farther. But we were still close enough. And about probably 40 yards up ahead, there's a big bush line. You couldn't see into the bushes. It was like this. But behind it, you could see the 2 or 3 trees that were sticking up. And the one went and started just going, and it went over. This thing stomped the ground. It pushed it over. My dog, it made a sound, and my dog tried to run with the leash still attached to her. She wanted no part of it. And that was the second time I got scared. And that was the last time I ever wore full camo and was quiet walking around places. I've never acted like that ever again. Now I walk in, I go, I'm here, letting you know I'm here before I walk into their area. And
you do. You do that too, Johnny. Don't you announce when you go in? Hey guys,
Yeah, I gave up. I started out super aggressive and found out that was a really bad idea and a big waste of time because there's just no. And then I tried doing the whole sneaking around thing. That was an even bigger waste of time, And I try to be as I try to act like a child when I'm out there. Anytime anything happens, I'm super happy and super grateful that they did anything, or if I find anything, I talk to the woods. Basically, it's extremely. That's why I go by myself a lot, because I look like an idiot out there in the woods, But
I do know exactly what you mean.
Oh yeah. So it's best not to have an audience. But yeah, I completely gave up on trying to sneak up on these things. And
that first time when I was all dressed up in full camo and being as quiet and stealthy as I could be, and right in the middle of the day, I caught them off guard. Period. I got them, and they didn't like it. They don't like being caught off guard. They want to have the upper hand for sure. Mm-hmm. And that's 2 times I think that I actually the first time I caught them off guard. The second time I think I just got too close to whatever they were protecting back there with the dogs, and I felt it, and it was almost too aggressive. Like, you're coming in. I didn't respect them at all. I didn't give them any respect. Like, hey, I'm coming into your door. Yeah. I didn't knock on the door. I just came in, right. And they didn't like it. And and I don't do that no more. I don't do that at all. I always let them know I'm coming in. And usually, if it's just me and Kaylin, a lot of times I'll hear a whoo back, and then I'll usually hear it in 3 spots. Whoo, whoo, whoo. And they'll usually do that twice. You'll hear those little whoos, and then after the second time, after it's done, that they've already triangulated wherever they're doing, and they know where I'm at, and they're there. And then it goes quiet. That quiet. And everything gets quiet, and they're there. And they're just watching you.
Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned earlier was the hawks, because a hawk will rat you out in a heartbeat. A lot of people don't realize that. We know the squirrels do. The squirrels start barking, I see you. Rawr, rawr, rawr. I'm letting everybody know. And that really puts me on alert when I hear those types of things. And I was at one area, and I was getting that creepy feeling, and this hawk, I can hear it screaming, but it wasn't screaming at me, because it would fly overhead if it was me, but it never flew over me. It stayed away from me, circling this other area, and it was just screeching, like it was just alerting. And in my mind, I'm thinking, there's got to be some predator over there. You know what I mean? Either a bear, a panther, or a squatch, something that's alerted this thing. And it just creeped me out even more. But because I'm out there by myself all the time. And so I pay attention to those signs of hawks and squirrels and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I even caught that on video. I was talking, and I was like, and I'm putting the camera up in the air, and I was like, I can't find this hawk, but it's alerting to something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So those are the signs when you get out there. You pay attention. I tell everybody, you pay attention to those things.
We took Jeff Freeman. He came down, and he wanted to go out with us, and we took him out to the main area. And I looked on the map, and I wanted to go to an area I hadn't been, so I could, take him into. I just wanted to take him to some cool areas, and I took him back to a spot that I really hadn't been, and we got way back in there, and I'd never been in this area, and I was almost lost, which I never get lost back there. I don't even know how I found the place I found, but it was like I found an area I don't know if I was not supposed to be there, but definitely I think was off guard that I found it. Like it was another type of playground where everything was torn up and broken, the limbs torn up. But as we walked up, it was like, first it was the crows, The crows were going off, and then the hawk started going off, and then a barred owl, all in the same spot. Like we hadn't moved. We're in the same. Once we found this spot, all these different birds started going off, and then the big barred owls started making sounds back. You know, the not barred owls started making sounds back. Jeff took that footage because he thought it was so weird how all the birds went off at one time, and he analyzed all that. And the barred owl sound that we heard, the second one was total different frequency than the first barred owls. It was like ho ho ho, and then ho ho ho. It was like, what? Really? It was like you weren't a barred owl. You sounded a little hoarse.
Yeah. Yeah, I've experienced the fake owl sounds before myself. It's pretty interesting when that happens.
Yeah, it's because it's the barred owl just has that rasp to it. It's like you're like yeah. And then that it's just different. It's just a different sound.
Yeah,
and it was funny. It was funny watching it because he showed how it spiked so much different than the other tone. It was pretty cool. I try to be scientific. I'm just not super scientific. I'm just kind of rough, and I just go out and do things. If I wish I would have learned everything years ago that I've learned now about how precious it is to get footprints and castings. And when I was first starting, I came across so many of them. I didn't really think that much of it. And I wish to God I would have done it now because I got pictures of some that are just better than the footprint cast we had. You know, I didn't realize it. But, you know, been doing it a few years now. I've learned a lot.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, there's not really a course you can take or a textbook or anything. We're learning from, you know, our own experiences and, you know, each other, which I think is extremely helpful.
That's what we got to do. We got to do Bigfoot research for dummies. We got to come up with that that book.
That's actually maybe $1 million idea right there.
Oh, for sure.
Well, it's like me. I didn't hear the $1 million. You guys were buffering when that was going on. But
it wasn't a good idea. Don't worry about it.
my issue is I find stuff and I want to cast it, but I can't. I'm by myself. I can't carry everything. You saw the backpack I had. So I'm wearing a chest rig and I got this big backpack.
You have a front pack and a backpack.
Yeah, and it's pretty heavy. And to add a gallon of water and casting material to that, I just can't do it all. So sometimes I find something really good, and I'm like, man, but it's such a hike back and then a back and forth trying to cast it. So I usually just try to document as much as I can with video and film and measurements, and you know, break out my tape measure and stuff like that, and try to document as much as I can.
Well, we definitely one of these days, man, got to get all together and go out and do something.
Yeah.
Go do a camping trip or something. Do something fun. And I'm definitely one of these days. I would definitely want to find the right people to sneak in. Not sneak. I mean, to go camping in a place that might not allow you to camp there. You know,
there's no registration or signups. You just go.
I've never done it. I've never gone back into some of these areas and camped. I've camped in everywhere else, but not into my areas. I haven't actually camped in them. You know, I've always wanted to do that. That's something I've always wanted to do, to see how they react.
Yeah, so Johnny's all over that.
Oh yeah. So what you're saying is there's no camping allowed there, or you just haven't done it?
It's not a campsite.
It's not. Yeah.
There's no camp. I'm not saying I don't know.
It's a tent.
Yeah. I don't know if you're allowed to camp or not. I'm just saying we could.
You know, sometimes what's the whole thing about asking forgiveness instead of permission?
Yeah.
You can just tell them you're homeless.
Hey, man, half the places I go, I don't even know. I've never asked. I just go. That's all I can say. I know the one area I found out from, it's actually close to a residential area. And they said, no, but you can go back there. It's not a big deal. Not many people ever do. And so I've never had a problem. But there's another one, there's other spots where it's like kind of sketchy to go into, but no risk, no reward, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like there's the place I go to, and Marie's been with me. She's been out to the research area I have, and it's beautiful out there. It's huge, but it's beautiful. And where she's camped out with me for a few days. So I don't research where I camp. We load up, drive all the way to the other location and stuff like that. And there's no hunting, camping, fishing. It's strictly, there's no vehicles. It's strictly hiking and biking. That's all you're allowed to do out there. And that one section is 3,000 acres, just that one section. But I've thought about it and thought, man, if I get the right people and we do a camp out and then drive over there late at night and just hike it, not camp, but go in there at night and hike it, stay on the bigger trails and with, thermals and night vision and check it out. Not overstay or welcome, just spend like maybe a couple hours out there. It's just difficult for me to do it by myself. I'm not big on going out in the woods at night by myself. I'm not big out there going out there with a group either, but
it's okay. I'm don't feel like you're less of a man, because I don't really want to do that either.
No, it's just,
I know what's out there. And I'm not saying it's going to hurt you, but it's still, it don't feel great to be by yourself in the middle of a freaking swamp or
right.
cypress
Especially
swamp
when you know what's out there,
Yeah.
And that's
honestly, if I'm going to be worried about something, it's more going to be the freaking hogs, probably more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm going to worry about something hurting me.
I didn't see it because it's dark out, But all right,
yeah,
so
I'm with you on the whole hog thing. We have them on our main research area, and I carry a pistol out there just because of them. There's a lot of them.
Real quick before we get off, I got to tell y'all one quick one real quick, all right? Because if you've been around a lot of hogs, you know how weird this is, right? So we took David Shealy out to our spot when David came up here, and we took him out to our really main area, and we're sitting back there, and Dave goes like, in the ferns, he's like, what is that? And I looked, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, oh, it's a hog. I thought it was a dead hog. And so I came around through the ferns, and the ferns are about 2 foot tall. And all I could see was just the top of it, and I get up close to it, and it jumped up and started grunting. And I'm like, oh, it's alive, But it couldn't do nothing. It went to come, and it couldn't walk. It had 4 broken legs.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
4. It had 4 broken legs. How weird is that?
Well, I've ran across that. I've got it's on one of my videos where I came across it was a huge hog. It was about a 20-25 pounder, but its legs were broken.
This was probably about an 80-90 pound hog.
Wow.
And he had 4 broken legs. He couldn't walk, and he was just sitting there. About 10 minutes before we found the hog, we were looking at some of our other area, some of the stuff back. We were showing Dave where this fence has been dented down, and this branch came. It was not windy. It wasn't anything. And a freaking green branch came crashing down, about 25 foot long branch with about, probably 16, 18 inches around, came crashing down from about 30 foot up in the air. And then we found that hog, and I'm thinking, well, it kind of played itself out. Was it over there and we interrupted it? Maybe we interrupted it after it already hurt that hog. Then it went up that tree and was watching us. And because it had to hurry up there, maybe it walked out too far. I don't know. But if you could have heard this freaking tree limb come crashing down, it scared David, all of us, really bad. Like, it sounded like somebody was cutting down a tree or something back there. And it was just out of nowhere. And it was big, but I have no answer for that. But then we found that hog with the 4 broken legs. So it's like, something's going on.
Right.
Yes. Sounds like you interrupted somebody's hunt.
Well, right around the corner from where that hog was at, on that same trail, is where I found what I call a hunting blind. That was 3 trees that were kind of like this together, almost braided. And at the top of it there was palmettos, oak, pine. There was all kinds of shit up there in this one spot. It was up there perched up on it, jumping off onto stuff. Is what I picture it, jumping off onto the game trail. I also found a tripwire back there, a vine that was about an inch around. And it was about 40 foot long, right on a spot, like a strategic spot where if something was standing here and you're running a deer like down this game trail, he'd have to go right to where that tripwire was. That's 2 feet off the ground, just enough to trip him up where he can catch a deer.
Wow.
Pretty damn intelligent.
Yeah.
And this is back in the middle of a cypress swamp,
Yeah.
Wow.
But, guys, I really appreciate you having us on. We're about to go back to being parents for in a second.
Well, let's jump into our last interview before the conference. We're going to be there next week. Johnny's coming. What day are you coming in, Johnny? On Friday?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be there Friday, Saturday, and leave on Sunday at some point. It's a great time. You guys will be there.
Y'all are going to be there Friday also?
Yeah. I'll be at the VIP dinner.
Good. We're going to be there. We're going to be there.
Yeah, and then
I'll be at the hotel room, but I'll be there. I'm not going to the VIP. I'm bringing my daughter, so I only wanted to put her through so much. She can only handle so much.
Well, we're going to have. Well, are you have both of yours or no?
Maybe.
I know mine are coming for sure. Kaylin and Kylie are definitely going to be there. Kaylin's got to get chased around by all the little girls again.
With the I'm staying there. Johnny's staying there. There's some people in the chat room like Leonard Athis, Lenny. He's going to be there. So talking about the conference, give your viewpoint. Tell people about this conference, what it's like. Because I tell them all the time, it's a fun time.
I have a great. I've been to every one of them since they started. And what is this, number 6? I think
5.
Is this 5, 6?
5 or 6? And
I think they've gotten better and bigger every year. I mean, like they've definitely gotten bigger. Like it went from 1,500 to 2,000. I think last year they said it was 2,500.
Wow.
And so every year they've gotten bigger and bigger. I mean, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, everything in the whole deal's gotten bigger over the last 3 or 4 years, especially in Florida.
Yeah.
So it's blown up. It's not like people aren't looking at you like you're weird no more. Now it's like, oh, this is really cool. I want to go learn about it, And so maybe our message is starting to get out there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I tell everybody it's our Super Bowl.
Yes.
This is our opportunity to all get together, like-minded people, researchers, people with encounters. You've got every vendor you can imagine. So if you want anything that's Bigfoot related, it's gonna be there.
Yeah. And you can really learn a lot from some really good speakers and good people too. And I learned the most by talking to just other people. That's the best part, is talking to all the guests that are there. I mean, we were so busy last year. We felt blessed. We were right next to you guys.
Yeah.
And we were all so busy, like we could hardly leave our booths. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It was talking the entire time to everybody. It was a blast. It's a really good time.
It was really difficult for me to pull away from the table to do my own walk around and stuff. And I do a live with Dirt Road while I'm there. It's really difficult to pull away when you got a booth. This year I'm not doing a booth. I want to free myself up. No. I'm going to free myself up. I want to check everything out. I'm going to film things. I'm going to do live spots. I just want to keep myself busy.
I was just about to ask you if you were going to be our neighbor again.
Yeah.
No, if you would have asked me last year, I would have said, yeah, absolutely. I'm doing a booth next year. But after thinking about it and stuff like that, it really, you're stuck right there. You know what I mean? Especially I had all that gear. I had all my, I displayed all my gear so people can go look at the night vision, look at the thermal, and look at all that. You feel really uncomfortable walking away and there's nobody at the table and somebody walking away with something or something. Because 2,000 people there, you don't know those people.
Exactly.
So this year I'm going to lightweight get in there and just, walk around and, I'll definitely hang out, and see Brian King Sharp. And I'll be spending a lot of time with Johnny and stuff because, we see each other all the time on the show. We talk on the phone, but, me and Johnny never see each other face to face, so.
Nice. It'll be nice to meet you too, Johnny. It'll be nice to meet you, buddy. And
this will be my first Bigfoot conference, period. Even,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun.
I've never been
There's some good speakers too.
What now?
There's some really good speakers too.
Yeah.
I'm
looking. That's what
Maria
I'm Maria
is one of the nicest people I've ever met. She was such a nice lady. Maria Mayer. She's such a nice lady.
Yeah.
And she knows her stuff, boy. But wait till you get to meet oh my gosh, my brain just went do. He's the medicine man for the Seminole Indians.
Jim Herbert.
Herbie. Wait till you get to meet Herbie. He is what a cool guy, man. And
really?
we've got to hear some things. This is the first time I think they've had a Native American that's going to be speaking, and it's so cool that we got Herbie to do it because
definitely
Herbie's amazing, man. He's literally a medicine man, like the medicine man for the Seminole Indian tribe, and
really? That's awesome.
Dude, I've heard stories away from other people that they've told us that they don't tell everybody that are absolutely amazing about Florida and the skunk ape and Bigfoot and all that. Mind-boggling. The stuff that we've learned from them and the Miccosukee Indians down in the Everglades, we've met some really cool people and learned from them. The stuff they told us is mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's one of the goals. I've said it to Johnny and said it to other guests. That's one of my goals is to have a Native American on the show, give us their perspective and their history and stuff like that. I would love to hear it. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, cool, guys. I look forward to it.
Well,
we are too.
I'm stoked that
it's going to be a blast.
Coming. Yeah, I'm stoked Johnny's coming, man. That's cool to me. You know, I get to meet Johnny Two Beers.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna be we'll be there early on Saturday. I know that. We're gonna get there about 7:30 or so. Start set up.
Yeah, our goal is when I get there, I got the VIP. I'm going to meet up with Johnny at some point, and we'll discuss the next morning. Are we going to get together, have breakfast before we head in, or and stuff like that? Because getting in is not hard, but especially Marie will be there very early setting up the booth. So getting in, it would be very easy, but it doesn't start till 9 and it runs till 6. And, but I do want to take a lot of opportunity to hang out with Johnny and stuff like that. So I'll get with him and we'll sit down and figure out.
And I think I told you, Richard, but Johnny, one of the stories you didn't hear, I'm actually going to tell on stage during the encounters portion at the conference. Yeah. Me and my friend Tim, Tim used to be part of our group, and we are going to tell our story. We had an encounter together where he caught something on thermal that I saw with my own eyes.
Awesome.
And we're going to tell that story up on stage. So that'll be pretty neat.
Oh yeah. That'll be great.
And me and Mike were on the Skunk Ape Round Table last year.
Yeah.
We were up there together.
Yeah. So. I took my son up there with me and put him on my lap, and we sat there and we just talked, man. It was really cool. Like to bring him up on stage with me. It was awesome. Yep.
And I always tell people, I brag about it, that we opened for Renee.
Yeah.
We opened for her, because she came up right after we were all coming down. So we kind of warmed up the crowd and stuff like that. But it was a good time. It was
real good. So, I appreciate you guys having us on, man.
No, we thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
You and Christina.
We'll talk some more next weekend for sure. We'll get to do a lot more in-depth talking when we're face to face.
Yeah. Well, it was good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Johnny's gonna.
You'll kind of have a babysitter too, because my daughter, she's 15 and she loves children.
Well, the ones we're bringing, they're pretty good. They're not gonna be. They'll be there hanging out. They have a blast. They're gonna have a blast. Yeah. It's my daughter's first time she's getting to go. My son went last year, and like I said, he gets chased by all the little girls. He gets on his nerves. RPG's kids will be chasing my son around.
Well, it was great hanging out with you guys last weekend, and we got to talk a little bit, and it was great to meet Christina again, because I met her last year at the conference, because our tables were right beside each other, and it was fantastic that you did the show, and we're pumped. It's going to be a great year. So
yeah, well, thanks again, guys, and hopefully it would kind of be cool if after y'all tell your story during the conference, you come back on here and tell the story.
All right. I can do that one night.
Excellent. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah. I can do that one night for sure.
Cool. We'll set it up. Oh, Richard?
I'm the secretary.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, guys.
No, everybody.
And, I guess we'll see you next weekend.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, guys. See you guys in a week. See you next Friday.
Great show, man.
All right, guys.
See ya.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you.
So, yep, they're gone. Dude, that was pretty good. He had some great stuff to tell us. Great stuff. That was pretty awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seemed like a very knowledgeable individual, and I'm super pumped about the conference and meeting everybody and all that good stuff. I can't wait.
Yep, and
if you can't tell, this is my excited face. So
I think everybody, because we're live right now.
Don't know me. This is as excited as my face gets. But trust me,
I tell people that all the time. I said, me and Johnny balance out really good because he's always like the serious, and I'm always like, playing around. You know what I mean? I said, so we balance each other's out.
God thought it would be funny because, believe it or not, even with the podcast, doing all social by, and I'm not a real outspoken individual in, big groups. And on top of that, God thought it would be funny to give me a face that looks like I'm angry all the time. So, he keeps things interesting in my life, and I have to remind people, hey, I'm nice. I'm nice. Anyway.
No, everybody knows I gotta cut around every once in a while. I can't take everything serious all the time, but at work I am. At work I'm serious from the moment I step on that place to the moment I leave. But I'm a different guy off work. So, but
we're good to go, man. Quite possibly, I'll let you know about tomorrow night if y'all want to let everybody know that are you going on his podcast regardless of whether I come or not?
Yes. So what he's talking about is tomorrow night, me and Johnny and I believe Flat Rock. And I think Lenny's going to be there. We're going to be on Dirt Road Bigfoot tomorrow night. Don't know the exact time yet. We're leaving that in Johnny's hands.
Well, I wish y'all wouldn't. I don't have. We've got a lot of kids over at my house this weekend, and with a lot of games tomorrow. Still haven't talked to the boss man yet, but as soon as I know, I'll let y'all know sometime tomorrow morning.
Yeah, let me know so I can
go from there.
Yeah, I can let Dirt Road know. I bet it'll be sometime tomorrow evening, sometime between 6 to 8-ish, around that range. And so we'll be live and talking on that show as well. So I look forward to all you guys being over there and checking that out. And again, me and Johnny appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome, and the channel is growing. I'm very happy where it's at. I'm very proud of what we're doing. We are having fun. That's the great thing. We are having fun. And it's all because of you guys. You guys are great. We always have great people in the chat room, and the feedback has been amazing. And we just want to thank you guys.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. All right, bud. Well, I will talk to you sometime tomorrow morning. And everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Comments. And that's pretty much it.
All right, guys. Y'all take care. Have a great weekend, and God bless.